In the hush of the hospital ward, fluorescence dimmed to a weak pulse. Dennis lay half awake, the rhythmic chime of monitors echoing his shallow breaths. The faint antiseptic temps in the air made the room feel sterilized of warmth or hope. He was unprepared for the soft footsteps that cut through the silence. Emerging from the dull corridor glow stood a figure bearing the features of his long-deceased brother. He addressed Dennis in hushed, soothing tones, explaining that he had come to deliver him from needless suffering. Morning poured into the ward, banishing the heavy shadows that ruled the night. Nurses performed their routine vital checks, commenting on Dennis's hollow-eyed fatigue, but unaware of any nocturnal visitor. Shaken and uncertain, held his tongue about what he had witnessed. A silent dread lingered beneath his attempts at calm. He could not bring himself to speak of a brother thought dead. Midnight returned, and the sterile walls seemed to slip away, leaving Dennis standing upon a rugged mountainside beneath a vast moonlit sky. The same brotherly figure appeared, pointing to a radiant cave embedded in the jagged stone, claiming it was the threshold to a heavenly realm where no pain could follow. Though relieved that his physical agonies seemed to ebb in this place, Dennis's heart pounded with an inexplicable dread. He questioned how a dead man could truly stand before him, but the reply was only a soft assurance that such mysteries lay beyond mortal comprehension. Night after night, the brother led Dennis to that same moonlit slope, urging him closer to the cave's beckoning glow. He spoke of reunion with lost loved ones and total freedom from mortal affliction. Though Dennis yearned for the relief promised within that light, he always hesitated at the threshold. A silent alarm in his soul warned him that stepping inside would be irrevocable. The brother remained gently persistent, professing that most in Dennis's position would have embraced this merciful escape without pausing. As the nights wore on, the brother's mild tone sharpened. He questioned why Dennis clung to a failing body when complete relief lay just steps away. Dennis, tears glistening, admitted how deeply he missed Peter, yet remained bound by an unshakable dread of that glowing cave. He could not explain the dread, only that it felt like a primal warning. The brother's mask of tolerance cracked further each time Dennis refused. He told Dennis there is nothing to fear. They will be going together to a beautiful place without pain and suffering. He reassured him that he has nothing to fear. He told him it is time to move on and let go of mortal suffering. Another midday found Dennis nearing the very mouth of the cave, the watery glow dancing across the rocky walls. His heartbeat pounded in his ears, as if the hospital monitor pulsed from another world. The brother insisted that no further hesitation was needed, that Dennis should trust him as he trusted him when he was alive. Dennis's voice, shaking, confessed he could not shake the impression that the cave, however warm, held something terribly wrong. He was not prepared to cross its threshold. When midnight draped the ward in silence, Dennis found himself once more on the rocky slope. The brother stood by the cave entrance, unwavering. The brother spoke with a firmer tone, stating that clinging to a diseased life was the true agony. Dennis, trembling, admitted he often longed for an end to his pain, but could not shake the sense that beyond the brilliant cave lay something far darker. Daylight again, and Dennis, desperate for some clarity, mumbled hints to a sympathetic nurse about strange visions of a brother urging him into a bright cave. The nurse, perplexed, attributed it to medication, side effects, or stress from terminal illness. Dennis, receiving only mild reassurance, lapsed into silence once more. Left alone, he thought of how the brother described the cave so fervently. At midnight's hush, the brother appeared again on the mountainside, this time weaving additional illusions. Glimpses of relatives smiling beyond the cave's glow, or faint echoes of comforting voices. Dennis gasped at visions of family members who had passed away. His parents, old friends, were beckoning him from inside the cave. He nearly stepped forward, tears shining. The brother, sounding hopeful, told Dennis that his place among them was secured if he would only trust him. Yet Dennis's heart still hammered with nameless dread. Another dawn found Dennis drenched in sweat, monitors showing an erratic night. Nurses grew concerned about his deteriorating state. He had begun whispering names of deceased relatives in his sleep. Dennis, too weak to share details, merely told them he felt haunted by visions. They again put it down to sedation or delirium from his condition. Left alone, he recognized the illusions were growing more elaborate, as if the brother was determined to override every hesitation. Fear and longing warred in his chest. Past midnight again, the brother's kindly mask grew thin. He demanded Dennis follow him into the cave without further delay, warning that continuous resistance was an affront to the mercy offered. Dennis's voice, quavering, repeated that he couldn't shake the sensation of a trap, that crossing the threshold felt like stepping off a cliff. The brother accused him of irrational fear, telling him a lot of people who love him were all waiting for him on the other side. He should let go and join them. Morning brought no relief. Dennis's vitals showed sharper decline. Nurses feared he might not last much longer. They attempted to comfort him, though he barely responded, eyes distant with nightly dread. Alone, he clutched the dusty photo, silently weeping. Each midnight threatened a final confrontation at the cave entrance, and he felt his frail will teetering. Yet the terror in his soul persisted. Something told him if he stepped into that glow, he would be lost to a pit of unspeakable darkness. At midnight, the brother confronted Dennis on the same moonlit slope, illusions sharper than ever. He conjured visions of departed relatives inside the cave, calling to Dennis by name. The brother's tone, no longer gentle, demanded Dennis take that final step. He insisted that any more defiance was irrational, and he needed to let go and transition into the afterlife. He argues that Dennis's time in the physical world is over, and that moving on is a natural progression. Tears blurred Dennis's vision as he stood at the mouth of the cave, heart pounding fiercely in his chest. He was inches away from stepping across the threshold on the brink of surrendering to the pull of his deepest longing. But just as he was about to take that final step, fear surged through him, louder and sharper than ever before. A voice within screamed, "Never," and Dennis recoiled, retreating once more into the shadows of his hesitation. The final dawn seeped coldly into Dennis's hospital room, casting pale shadows across the sterile walls. Monitors wailed desperately as his heartbeat spiraled into chaos, the shrill alarms echoing like panicked cries. At the foot of his bed stood the figure he had believed was his brother, now revealed in a cruel, merciless light eyes, burning with silent, merciless fury. The impostor's voice sliced through the air, thick with scorn, taunting Dennis for his stubborn defiance, mocking the countless souls who had blindly followed his deceit like lambs willingly marching into darkness. With a twisted sneer, he spat out the bitter truth. There had never been love behind that carefully crafted mask, only hunger and cold calculation. With a final venomous hiss, the sinister figure dissolved into darkness, tearing away every comforting illusion. Dennis gasped violently, clutching the faded, dust-covered photograph tightly to his chest. In that dreadful moment, clarity struck him like a blade Peter had never returned, and he had narrowly escaped a fate far worse than death itself.